Early settlement in the Appalachian Mountains meant living within a geography that actively resisted outside influence. The steep ridges and deep hollows made travel incredibly difficult, meaning traditional government infrastructure, like courthouses and census takers, rarely reached the more isolated communities. For genealogists, this creates a major roadblock. Entire regions are known as burned counties, places where official title records were either destroyed by courthouse fires or simply never collected because state-mandated birth and death certificates weren't required until the 20th century. When you look at the official documents that did survive, large sections of the population are missing. If you didn't own land, you didn't pay property taxes. That means tenant farmers, domestic workers, marginalized laborers, and women rarely appeared in the public record. Finding these individuals requires looking away from the county courthouse and into the home. Specifically, it requires reading the surviving ledgers and diaries used to track winter food preservation. The most accurate accounting of an early Appalachian family is hidden directly within the architecture and daily routines of the farmstead itself. During the first hard freeze of the year, families engaged in the labor-intensive process of curing meat. A hog killing required massive amounts of work over several days, forcing extended relatives and neighbors to gather and share the load. This ledger documents an internal economy, tracking who arrived to help, what tools they loaned, and how meat was distributed. By tallying the salt used and meat assigned to specific names, these entries reveal exactly how many mouths a household was preparing to feed. A smokehouse tally acts as a verifiable demographic map. It documents who belonged to a community and who could be relied upon when temperatures dropped. Inside the home, the canning pantry functioned as a vital economic center. Managing this space and its calories was the strict domain of the women. Women kept rigorous counts of what they preserved. They penciled tallies directly onto the wooden beams of the pantry, or recorded the number of sealed jars in the margins of their winter diaries. A single line reading 36 quarts of peaches with Granny does two things. It records the yield of a harvest, and it firmly links a mother, her daughter, and her grandmother in a shared, datable task. When modern researchers compare the sheer volume of jars listed in these domestic logs with official census data, the numbers often don't match. A massive stockpile of food usually reveals the presence of unrecorded children or elderly relatives living under that roof. The pantry functions as the primary archive of Appalachian women. Their undocumented labor provided the daily calories that kept the family alive. Underground, root cellars held crops like potatoes, turnips, and cabbages. These stores were constantly threatened by sudden frosts, rodents, and moisture rot, requiring intense, daily monitoring. Families used winter diaries to track the shifting conditions inside the cellar, recording temperature changes and adjustments made to the ventilation or the straw packing. Because these diaries often specified exactly who went down to check the vents or sort out sprouting potatoes, they inadvertently created a daily attendance sheet for the household. These routine chore logs verify who was physically present on a given day. They offer a granular truth about family structures that a property deed entirely misses. Down the mountain, the local general store served as the central hub for the region's seasonal barter economy. When cash was scarce, families brought their surplus hams, extra jars of preserves, or offers of physical labor to trade for commercial necessities like salt, sugar, and jarlets. This general store ledger categorizes itemized spending on food, supplies, and loans. You frequently find entries where one person pays a neighbor's debt, proving a strong social or familial bond, even if those people share no legal documentation elsewhere. The store ledger tracks the community safety net. It maps the exact network of mutual aid that kept households functioning. By pulling together the specific dates from a smokehouse ledger, the jar tallies from a pantry, the chore logs of a root cellar, and the credit lines at the general store, researchers can reconstruct a complete, multi-generational family tree. This methodology is known as interpretive care. It treats mundane domestic labor and daily survival logs as vital demographic data. The absence of a government birth certificate or a formalized death record does not mean a person lived a small or invisible life. In early Appalachia, the act of surviving the winter left its own paper trail. The marginalized people who did the quiet work of keeping their families alive wrote their own history. You just have to know where to look.
Thanks for watching. Please join us again next time for more history from the mountains. Don't forget to like and subscribe,